Before we begin, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that we're gathered on the traditional lands of Treaty 7 and that Banff National Park also covers Treaty 6 and 8. These lands are home to the Earhare Nakota Nations, Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney, the Blackfoot Confederacy, including the Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina Nation, the Métis Nation of Alberta, and many others whose stories and connections to this place run deep. As someone who is so fortunate to call this place home, I recognize that the ability to live, work, and enjoy these incredible landscapes comes from a history that has had real impact on Indigenous peoples through displacement, loss of access, and broken relationships. We're grateful to be here today, and we carry a responsibility to keep learning, to listen to Indigenous voices, and to do our part in building relationships that honor both the land and the people who've always been its caretakers. Welcome to Between Peaks. This is the podcast where we share the people, ideas, and stories shaping life in the Bow Valley. I'm Nancy Dadalt.
And I'm Jodi Gamad, back for another episode. I'm so glad to be here again.
The next generation is rewriting the story of generosity, blending purpose with passion and showing that communities thrives when everyone brings what they can to the table. Our guest is Aaron Smith, or as he likes to be known as Arn, who's called Banff home for about 8 years now. He's a neighbor, a friend, and the unofficial host of local jam sessions out of Oisa. Rumor has it he even wrote a protest song about off-leash dog drama. We tried to find it, but came up empty-handed, but more to come on that.
Totally, yeah. A little secret surprise.
Aaron joins us to talk about belonging, Bow Valley life, and how it's changed and always evolving. Aaron, welcome to Between Peaks.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Let's start at the beginning. What was it that brought you to the Bow Valley, Arn?
So about 8 years ago, I was living in St. John's, Newfoundland. I grew up in Newfoundland, so just back there. Yeah, East Coast represent, Newfie pride.
Yeah.
I was living in Newfoundland pretty much all my life and hadn't necessarily spent any extended point of time or amount of time outside of Newfoundland. So me and my girlfriend at the time were living in St. John's, and she had spent a couple summer seasons here in Banff, and her sister also lived here as well. So her sister was getting married at Norquay, so we were like, yeah, we'll go up for the wedding. And then the more we talk about it, the more we're like, well, let's just like try and see if we can move up. So we like saw if we could get the ball rolling on that. And so she had her ex-employer had a basement suite that was opening up in September of 2017. So, and the wedding was in August. So, we went to the wedding. We house sat in Airdrie for about a month before upgrading to Banff. Yeah.
Did you RSVP and was like, yes, and I'm going to start living there?
Yeah, that was on the RSVP.
And now that you've been here for 8 years, what keeps you here?
I don't know. I found myself saying this a lot, like over the past couple weeks or months. It all comes back to the community and people. The more I evolve myself in the community, the more it speaks to me, and the more it really solidifies me, I think, in this place. Like there's over the years, like people have come and gone, but there's like that steadfast, like strong sense of place, of course, and community too. I always say underneath all the busyness and like the tourism, like it's quite amazing that we have such a great community blanket, like foundationally. Yeah.
Well, and for me, that says a lot, even more for you coming from Newfoundland, because there's nobody that's more community oriented of any people that I've met are the people from Newfoundland. So,
Totally. Yeah. I've definitely heard that a lot too. Like, and I say, well, you like, I've walked down the streets or like, been around town, and people say, oh man, Newfies are the best. And I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, we are. But like you find good people every
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And like I think, that's just my perspective, but like I can recognize the generosity or the humility that East Coast minded or East Coast folk can have. But yeah, I think like a small town mentality, like this checks all the boxes. Like this is just as much home to me as Newfoundland. Like just those parallels. Sure, you don't have these kind of mountains in Newfoundland,
Yeah.
but yeah, you also don't have the ocean here.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but so a couple trade-offs, but at like the essence, I think is very similar.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. Awesome. When I was in Newfoundland, I thought it was otherworldly.
Yeah.
Really loved it. It was a great experience. I came here many years ago and was going to stay for one season, learn how to ski. And but I stayed for all the same reasons that you've talked about, Arn. And we hear that from so many people that come from all parts of the world. It's one thing about loving living here, but surviving can be another story. How does that ring true for you and the work that you do with Banff Life?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it can be hard to survive in like many places in the world now. I think, yeah, like appreciation, of course, for where we are. Like we are privileged to live here. I mean, like in the time that I've been here, I've been really lucky to, yeah, for the most part, have secure housing and secure employment. I know that can't be said for everybody. Yeah, but I think, yeah, surviving. Yeah, I mean, let's see, I made a couple notes. I think the two sides can be married to another, like surviving and living. Like they don't have to be exclusive from another. I think living in a magical place helps me to recognize like what I want, what my goals are, where it helps me be a better person and like how to show up in the world. Yeah, I think like that's just the draw of this place. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and going back to that sense of community and just that not whimsical, but just the spirit, the magical essence of the community. And yeah, I know that sounds like flighty, but I really believe that. Yeah.
Arn, when you think about community, what comes to mind first, and who do we tend to forget?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think community, the first thing I think about when it comes to community is like, I just think of places like here. I think of two places, BCF actually, and that's not just like blowing smoke, but yeah, we can get into that later. And the Catherine Rob White building, like, and the library, everything that entails. Like the library is there. You have the library of things. You have very supportive staff who are there. And then above on the upper level, you have, this community space where there's so many programs that run out of that place. It's definitely like such a multi-use facility, like from newborns right up to like centenarians, like very old people, so like just that kind of space is just so integral. And like I think it's so when I think of community, that's like where my mind goes to. Is just like that central point. It's like perfectly located, like centralized in town. It's kind of like on the way to the rec grounds. It's kind of like, it just where it is physically, I think holds power. Moving on to the second part, I think people who are forgotten, I think, are the ones who like really carry this town. Like, and that's like, I think in my mind, like the people who are working like to provide for their families, who might have like a couple children and have like stuck it out in Banff despite like the high cost of living, despite everything like that. Like those who are working like 2-3 jobs. We saw it during the pandemic, like IGA didn't really close down, but that the workers who, the frontline workers, I really think like that's the backbone of the community of many communities. And Banff is no different, you know?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the library too, because I think that's the first library that made me feel that a library is not just a place where you go to borrow books. It's really where people convene. Sometimes they would have events too.
Yeah.
And the library of things. That's amazing. Like if you don't, I don't have a standing mixer. There's no space in my tiny apartment for that. But you can borrow it from the library, and everyone can do too. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and what I do too, I like 4 Nintendo Switch games and from other libraries. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can, like it's part of the track system,
Yeah.
which is like the, I don't know, the Alberta library system. So they speak to one another. Yeah, you can get books from and games from anywhere.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. You've been here 8 years. I wonder how easy would you say it is for someone new or younger to find their voice here in the Valley?
Yeah, I can definitely recognize that it can be overwhelming first coming here. It like for a lot of people, it's their first time away from home. Fresh out of school or even like high school sometimes, right? Like on a gap year, what have you. I think, the fact that we are at the core still a small town of like 10,000-ish people, and I think that can be taken advantage of in a good way. And like, I think there's lots of opportunities like to involve oneself in the community on like a committee or like a nonprofit, like that, like a board. And I think we have, like a bit of a liberty of being in a small town. And so that being said, I think our voices can be like amplified a bit more. And I think like when it comes to like, say, for example, town council, like there's opportunities like, pretty much every Monday to get involved. And like, sure, like council meetings are not everyone's cup of tea, but I still think like that's a prime example of like an opportunity to get your voice heard.
Yeah.
And it's the most like democratic and direct way that way too. Like, people complain about everything on Facebook, but like Facebook's not going to do anything. Facebook doesn't care about the pedestrian zone, Yeah.
That really resonates with me because when I first got here a little over 5 years ago, that was COVID. The first 3 years that I was here, I had one friend. And I love her, but I had one friend. And I think for someone to find their voice, they have to feel safe. And if you don't have maybe a group or community that you feel like you belong to, it's hard to feel safe. Like, who do you speak to? How are your decisions informed by other people's input, right?
Sure.
And so I think it was only when I started volunteering and being in the nonprofit sector is when I was able to really expand my circle and find that voice. Because it's also hard to find that voice when no one is giving you space to air or to like speak, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think the community services desk at Town Hall really is a breadth of knowledge as well. Like they know kind of like the demographic that are in town, and they know about all the supports like from like different cultural backgrounds and landscapes. Like there is like refugee supports, and there are like all kinds of different ethnic groups and like organizations. So I think there's something beautiful in that, just like how like there sometimes Banff can be overwhelming, like of all the supports that are available, but like they're there for a reason too, right?
Totally.
So I think in that, like you were saying, like it's it's good to have those supports so that you can be more confident in in your own voice.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of talk about how the next generation is approaching giving differently. More time versus money more causes versus an institution. Before we get into all that, how do you define generosity? And would you even say the word giving?
Yeah. Generosity. I think generosity at the core, like root, the core definition is just showing up. And that's like not just for others, but it can be like you can be generous to yourself for sure. Like you can treat others with kindness, with respect, with empathy. And yeah, likewise, you can do that for yourself as well. Like I think, yeah, I don't think giving necessarily always has to be involved. I think when we think of giving, we think of like paying it forward or that we have to sacrifice something. But yeah, I think at the core, generosity can just be showing up. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think in this day and age, time and effort and capacity is a currency. And when we say giving or giving back, sometimes it means that it sounds like it's taking away from you, wherein it could also be sharing. It could also be having someone sit by your side or talking to someone and sharing time and insights, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've heard the expression, I think it's tied in with the Community Foundation, time, talent, or treasure. And treasure can be your gift of being generous, or it could be your gift of money. So, that treasure can mean many different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does generosity look like to you in the Bow Valley, Arn, among your friends, among your neighbors, or local groups?
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I did answer this here. I said it looks, I think, firstly, like just being open and receptive and like being a good listener. It's important to be aware of like one of our own like status or place. You don't have to be fully cognizant. Like life is a journey, you're always exploring and discovering new things about yourself. But I think yeah, like I just think about last night, for example. I was at a friend's birthday party and like it not like a good friend, but like kind of a friend of a friend. But after last night being there, like just the generosity of me being invited, even though like I don't know them that well. And yeah, just their offering, like not only offering me into their home, but being hospitable and I don't know, it goes beyond recognizing that we live in a very hospitable place. Sometimes that our job is like dictates that, right? But you're able to tell when it's when it's genuine too, right? And like we all come here for a reason, but I think there's a similar reason for a lot of people. And I guess I'm sidetracking a bit, or like going off on a bit of a tangent, but yeah, like just going back to last night, for example, like yeah, just you like humility, and I think like it comes with one's like life experiences to find that. But I think it's a bit of like natural instinct and natural instinct.
Yeah, I think to add to that, and I would just presume that we're of the same generation. I would add to that in a way that generosity too looks like assumption of generosity to me. And so like with your friends or neighbors, I think they would be generous if I feel like I can be myself and they've got this generosity around them to like accept what that is.
Yeah.
And I think that generosity sort of builds community. And so if I feel like they accept me, I also will accept them.
Right. Yeah.
And they can be themselves. And then we create this very, as you said, genuine kind of like environment wherein you can go to someone's house and celebrate them, and they can go to yours and celebrate you. Yeah, so I like the way that you were giving those examples.
Yeah, I guess in that way, generosity can be like reciprocal. Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
like you recognize that you can maybe help out, but or like it's just going a bit, just being kind
Yeah.
to one another. I think, and like that authenticity, like if it's like if both people are authentic to themselves, then that like only encourages that. I think more.
And before it becomes reciprocal, generosity often starts with the moment that moves us to act, right? Can you share an experience that inspired you to give your time, money, energy to something that mattered to you?
So yeah, I do feel that I have capacity. Like I feel lucky to have like capacity to help out around town.
You do so much, Arn.
Thank you. Yeah, I try, but also like, I set my own boundaries as well. So, yeah, just all the balance. But I think one thing that sticks out for me mostly is the Banff Food Rescue. So I've like volunteered there a couple times, and it's like, especially now, like, I don't know, the growing concern of food insecurity is huge, I think now. And I think that's like what Alana at the Food Rescue does is it's an essential service, really. Like there's no other way about it or to put it. With the high cost of living, like inaccessibility, like produce is expensive. So to have that, donation based or if you can't even donate, then there's no expectation of that. But like just don't starve, and so like like the Food Rescue, the food bank as well. These are definitely supports that are in place, and it's great that like with the Food Rescue, the generosity of the other businesses, like that food would probably be going to waste, but like going in the trash, but at least there's some like what Alana does, and like she's able to save that food, because she recognizes the importance of having a food resource available for residents.
I'm curious, Arn, what helps you decide where to give or get involved?
I think it's funny, but like I do think there's a level of like boundary setting and like almost a level of like selfishness that comes into it, because I'm more inclined to volunteer or give my time to an initiative that resonates with me. I mean, so but say for example, like playing music, like I that's one of my passions for sure. So I think, for example, it gives me joy to share my talent with the community, with people, with others. So I think that's a win-win, in a lot of ways. So like, yes, it's being selfish, but I think, like we were saying, like that joy is reciprocated, and so that's not to say I'm not open to stepping outside of my comfort zone, and like, learning new experiences, like from like being on other boards or committees or what have you. But I think that's like my initial.
Yeah, that is so interesting to me because someone asked me the same question a long time ago, and that is exactly my answer.
Very.
I thought I was being selfish. And now that you're saying it from your perspective, I'm like, it's not selfish to like find joy in the things that you're doing
Totally, yeah.
and express that joy with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just turns out that, you're doing a positive thing as well as having fun or like enjoying what you're doing, right? Yeah.
And that makes it sustainable
Exactly.
for you to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And others too.
And probably not even like that selfish
Yeah.
after all, right? It just feels that way, because it's
does.
like something comfortable.
It's internally motivate adopted.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I think like that, that instinct comes from within, but then that translates or morphs into something that is bigger and more interconnected.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I like how you said it's a win-win. We see so much in our society today that it's a win-lose. Well, I've got to win and I'm going to make sure you're going to lose. But this is all talking about how does it work for everybody and
Yeah.
that win-win. Thanks for sharing that part, Arn.
You shared how you're motivated by what keeps you joyful. I'm curious, what else? What are the other things that keeps you joyful? What are your passions? And we also mentioned a little bit about your work with OISA. And I'm not going to let you leave without saying that. Yeah, share more about that.
Yeah, like I don't know, like anyone who comes to the mountains, like I enjoy snowboarding, like trail running, bunch of outdoor pursuits that I never thought that I ever do in my life. Like I don't know, there's not a huge rock climbing scene in Newfoundland. There's a fishing scene, but yeah, not much else. Like that's an understatement. There's lots, and it's a beautiful place, and everyone should go there. But yeah, like music is obviously a big passion. That's a big thing that I've inherited from my upbringing for sure. Like music is such a big community thing. Like if it's skiing and snowboarding here, it's music in the East Coast, on the East Coast. It's just such a big part of the culture for sure. And so yeah, like music, I started playing piano when I was really young, and took piano lessons from my music teacher, and I like stayed with him right up until I graduated high school. And he was also like my junior high music teacher and my high school teacher. So a lot of instruments I like learned from him really. So like he was a big motivator and such a great role model for me growing up. Like I like I said, I learned piano from him first, and then I learned ukulele from him, and then guitar, and then trombone. Yeah, so like it just like progressively went like that. And then other instruments I just picked up on my own, like banjo and accordion. Yeah, so really, yeah, anything that makes a sound, I'll play it. Yeah, so there's that. And then like we were saying about like sharing those talents, like with OESA, like Amal from OESA has come, I remember he used to have jam sessions in his own place, and like before there was like a cafe, there'd be a weekly or bi-weekly jam night in his own living room, and there's a piano there too. So it felt very like just so natural, and like just so almost like disconnected from like society in a way, like in the best way, I think, because it's just so hyper focused on connection and like togetherness. And it's just I don't know, I guess like the way the piano is too, like it's a bit out of tune and like old sounding, so I think that just adds to like
The charm.
yeah, it's like an instant nostalgia in a way. And I think like it just harkens, like I just picture myself being transplanted back like 60 years where like we're just huddled around a piano because that's the only form of entertainment, there's no cell phones, there's no like distractions other than just like
It's so cool that you talked about how it's kind of like its own world, because when Oasis Cafe started, it felt like that small world kind of like open to everyone, and everyone who goes there felt that vibe of like, oh, you're part of this like small community that every now and then Arn would play a song there. That's
So like I think it translates into my work with Banff Life too with the town. So we provide a bunch of programs for young adults who are either new or have been in town for a couple of years. but it's all about the connection piece once again,
Mhm.
I think. And that's, as it turns out, like, I think I've always felt this, but like, especially with my upbringing, but I think that connection thing piece is huge as well. I think like that's a passion in a way too of mine, is just like being unified and kind and showing, being empathetic towards one another. Like that's really cool. Yeah, and really cool to witness, especially being in Banff where there are so many cultures and different ethnic groups. I think it's and to see that kind of connection, like it just proves that that's like so universal, right?
Absolutely.
I have a question for both of you. Organizations like Banff Canmore Foundation, what do you wish that they understood better or more about your generation or your colleagues and residents that you live and interact with? What could the organization be doing either differently or adding on to serve your generation?
Yeah, like I struggle with that question a bit, and like, again, not to like blow smoke at all, but I do appreciate the awareness that BCF has, like when it comes to like providing the relief for the Jasper fires and funding for community grants. So I think, yeah, BCF is pretty aware of what's going on in the community. Yeah, I personally haven't experienced any ways. Yeah, I just like struggle to see, like, to think.
If there are gaps.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Joe, what about you?
Yeah, I think this is something that I've always reflected on, being like someone a millennial working in an organization like BCF, is that making space for people, not just younger generation, but everyone coming from different diversities, is actually, it can go such a long way. And that trust, that jump of like making space for someone to do their thing, even if you probably do not completely understand where they're coming from because they're another generation, could really be fruitful. And also that our generation, I think, is really creative in terms of solution because we don't really have a lot of resources to use. And so that allows us to be really creative. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I'd like to hear that. So we've talked about OASA and we've talked about music and the connection with that. And we touched on your song. Will you play us your song?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I guess the song I have by request. Yeah. It's, so a bit of context. When I first moved to Banff, I prepared myself for being here, for making the move here. There's like a lot of restrictions. We had the privilege of living in a national park. It's not a right. We can easily be kicked out at any moment, and we have to be okay with that. So yeah, having that privilege comes with some guidelines, and not even guidelines, some rules. So one of those rules is keeping your dog on a leash. So when I first moved, that was like one of the first sticking points for me in terms of, okay, this place is different, but this makes sense. This is for the wildlife. This is for what was here before we ever were. And there has to be that level, that respect. So yeah, I wrote a protest song, and it's called "Keep Your Dog on a Leash." And yeah, I'd love to play it for you.
Take it away, Art.
So this is "Keep Your Dog on a Leash."
Awesome.
Keep your dog on a leash. Keep your dog on a leash. Keep your dog on a leash.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, I have one more question and we're going to give it a wrap.
Sure.
Aaron, if you could leave our listeners who have tuned in with us today one message, what we do want them to hear.
To keep your dog on a leash. Like I said, this is a magical place with magical rules. So I think in the act of respect, reconciliation, all like important things, I really think that's the least we can do is be respectful to the land, to the wildlife. We should all be stewards of the land, So I think that's that's really important for me and should be important for everyone. I think.
Sauce.
I want that as my new ringtone.
And for our listeners, thanks for joining us today. And check out our notes where we'll outline what OASA is and where you can do where the food rescue information is and how you can find Aaron at Banff Life. Thanks again, Aaron.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jodi, too.
Thank you.
Between Peaks was produced and edited by Calder Penny at Farside Films. Executive Director Courtney Babott at Widely Open, and music by Aaron Smith. A big thank you to the whole Banff Canmore Foundation team. We also want to thank all of our guests, our volunteers, our funders, and every community member.